The hidden risk of AI, why you still need humans. Hey everyone, welcome back to Small Business Risk. Today, I want to talk about something that honestly worries me when I look at the current landscape of small business tools. Everywhere you look, the advice is the same. Automate everything. Put your business on autopilot. Let AI handle it. And look, I love efficiency. I'm a huge proponent of workflow optimization. But here's the thing, and I know this sounds like I'm raining on the parade, but relying too heavily on automation without the right checks and balances, that is a silent killer for small businesses. I see owners setting up complex automations for their invoicing, their customer service, their inventory, and then they walk away. They think they've solved the problem, but often all they've done is create a system that can make mistakes at light speed. If you automate a bad process, you don't get efficiency, you just get faster chaos. Operational risk and automation. Today we're going to talk about the operational risks of over-automation. We're going to break down why set it and forget it is a dangerous myth, and we're going to discuss a concept called human in the loop. And look, I know human in the loop sounds like corporate jargon, but stay with me here because this is the difference between a business that scales smoothly and one that wakes up to a PR nightmare or a cash flow crisis. We need to redefine what we mean by process improvement. Real improvement isn't just about removing human effort, it's about increasing reliability. If you remove the human judgment from a critical decision point, you are introducing a new layer of risk that you probably haven't quantified. So, let's dive into how to balance modern automation with good old-fashioned risk management. Section 1. The black box risk. Let's talk about what really goes wrong when we over-automate. The primary risk is what I call the black box effect. When you do a task manually, say sending an invoice, you are unconsciously doing a quality check. You look at the client name, you glance at the total, and your brain flags it if it looks wrong. Wait, $50,000? That should be $5,000. You catch it, you fix it, you send it. When you automate that workflow completely, you lose that peripheral vision. The software executes the logic you gave it. It doesn't have common sense. It doesn't have context. Let me give you a use case. I was looking at a situation recently with a mid-sized e-commerce business. They wanted to optimize their fulfillment workflow. Great goal. They set up an automation. If an order comes in and stock is available, immediately send the order to the warehouse for packing and shipping. Sounds perfect, right? That's not rocket science. Fast forward 3 months. They had a glitch in their inventory management system where a decimal point shifted on the pricing of a high-ticket item. Instead of $1,000, the item was listed for $10. Because the workflow was fully automated, no human eyes, no approval gate for price variances, the orders came in, the system saw stock was available, and it fired the pick orders to the warehouse. The warehouse team, who are measured on speed, packed and shipped. By the time a human actually looked at the sales report on Monday morning, they had shipped out $50,000 worth of inventory for $500 in revenue. You know what would have prevented that? A simple logic check or a human review step for orders with a discount variance greater than 20%. That is operational risk. When you remove the human, you remove the safety valve. And the scary part is, in a digital environment, these errors cascade instantly. In the old days, you might make one bad invoice a day. With automation, you can send 5,000 bad invoices in 3 minutes. Section 2. Process improvement versus faster chaos. Now, before we dive deeper into the solution, I want to touch on process improvement. A lot of people confuse automation with improvement. They take a messy, undefined process and they try to wrap software around it. Here's the thing people don't realize. Automation magnifies the efficiency of a process, but it also magnifies the flaws. If your underlying process for onboarding a client is chaotic, if you don't have clear criteria for who you accept or what data you need, and you automate that chaos, you are just scaling a problem. Let me give you another real-world scenario. I know of a service agency that decided to automate their client onboarding. They set up a bot to scrape client lead data and automatically generate contracts. They thought this was peak workflow optimization, but their underlying process was flawed. They didn't have a clear do not serve list for high-risk industries. They used to filter those out instinctively during the sales call. Once they automated it, they started signing contracts with high-liability clients that their insurance policy didn't actually cover. They optimized the speed of the workflow, but they broke the risk control. You know what's wild? They didn't realize this for 6 months until they had a claim. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. So when we talk about workflow optimization on this channel, I want you to think about it this way. Standardize first, optimize second, automate third. If you skip to step 3, you aren't managing risk. You're just gambling at high speed. Now, before we go into how to fix this in detail and how this could be prevented, subscribe for more practical small business risk advice to keep your business safe. And let me know in the comments, what is the one step you're going to take this week to improve your security? Please ask me questions in the comments. I will respond and try to help. Section 3. The human-in-the-loop strategy. So, how do we fix this? We don't want to go back to using an abacus and paper ledgers. We want the speed of AI, but we want the safety of human judgment. The answer is a concept called human-in-the-loop, or HITL. And look, I know that sounds technical, but it's actually very simple. It means designing your workflows so that there are specific gates or checkpoints where a human being must verify the output before the next action is taken. This doesn't mean the human does the work. The automation does the heavy lifting. The human acts as the pilot, checking the instruments. Let's go back to that invoicing use case. A human-in-the-loop workflow looks like this. 1. The software pulls the billable hours. 2. The software drafts the invoice. 3. The software sends a digest email to the account manager saying, here are the 50 invoices ready to go out. Total value $150,000. Please approve. 4. The human scans the list. Okay, that looks right, and hits one button, approve. 5. The software sends them. That one button press takes the human 10 seconds, but it prevents the reputational damage of sending a blank invoice or an invoice with a massive error to your biggest client. Trust, but verify. That is the golden rule of automation. You need to identify the critical risk points in your workflow. Is money leaving the building? Payments. Is sensitive data being shared? Privacy. Is a communication going to your entire database? Reputation. If the answer to any of those is yes, you need a human in that loop. Do not let a robot ruin your reputation while you're asleep. Section 4. Implementing safe optimization. 1. Map the flow. 2. Identify risk points. 3. Insert the human gate. So here is where we land. How do you actually implement this? I want you to look at your business this week. Pick one process you've automated or are thinking about automating. First, map it out. Literally draw it on a whiteboard. Second, ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario if this step goes wrong? Third, if the consequence is high, insert a pause. Insert a notification. Insert a human approval step. This is true process improvement. It balances efficiency with resilience. The businesses that survive long-term aren't necessarily the ones with the fastest tech stack. They're the ones with the most robust processes that don't blow up when an API breaks. Conclusion. And look, I know nobody starts a business because they're passionate about documenting automated workflows. I get it, it's boring. But you know what's not boring? Keeping your money, keeping your clients. Automation is a tool, not a replacement for management. Use it to do the heavy lifting, but keep your hands on the steering wheel. If you're finding this useful, do me a favor. Hit that like button and drop a comment below. Tell me, what is one task you tried to automate that actually ended up creating more work for you? I will read every single one of them, and honestly, your horror stories help me figure out what we need to cover next. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that too, because we're going to be unpacking a lot more of these practical risk topics. All right, that's what I've got for you today. Go audit an automated workflow. Seriously, do it this week and let me know how it goes in the comments section. Until next time, manage those risks, folks. See you in the next one.